Undercover boss gone wrong. CEO Steven infiltrates his own company. You won't believe what happens next. He built this retail empire from the ground up. Now shocking reports have reached CEO Steven's desk, accusing his hand-picked managers of running stores through intimidation and abuse. With careers on the line, Steven knows he can't take drastic action based on rumors alone. So today, the boss goes covert, wearing a hidden camera and posing as new hire. Shawn, can Steven blend in to witness the misconduct firsthand? Will his cover be blown? Will he catch managers red-handed in unforgivable acts? Or will the ruthless villains sniff out the undercover CEO and threaten to silence him permanently? The clock is ticking as Steven gambles his reputation on this high-stakes mission. But if the shocking allegations prove true, he vows to tear down the corrupt regime himself. Stay tuned as our undercover boss' quest for justice at his own company takes a dangerous turn. Can one man under disguise transform this toxic culture before it consumes everything he built? The powerless are counting on him. Failure is not an option. Steven straightened his baseball cap in the reflection of his car window, taking a deep breath. It was time. As CEO of one of the largest retail chains in the country, he rarely interacted directly with individual store locations, but recent concerning reports had prompted this undercover mission. For months, Steven had been receiving complaints about abusive management at store Dar 1451. Employees described constantly being berated, threatened, and made to work off the clock. But without proof, Steven's hands were tied. He needed to witness the misconduct himself before taking action. So today, Shawn, a new trainee, would be starting work to uncover what was really happening. Cameras on his shirt would document every interaction. Steven just prayed he could blend in without being recognized by the manager, Bart Thomas, who he had appointed years prior. Shawn spent the morning shadowing Reggie stocking shelves, trying not to wince each time the man used profanity or berated him for working too slowly. Steven wasn't used to physical labor, but he kept focused on his mission. Surely this toxic behavior didn't extend up to Bart. Walking through the stockroom door, Shawn did his best to look eager but uncertain. All of a sudden, Reggie approached him looking stressed. "New guy, huh? Listen, just keep your head down and do what I say." "Got it," he said tersely. Shawn nodded, confused by Reggie's tone. As they started working, Reggie kept glancing around nervously. He whispered to Shawn, "Look, I know I came off harsh before, but we gotta be real careful around here. Bart, the manager, he's bad news, real hothead. If anything slows down the work, he takes it out on me, so I can't have you messing up." Shawn saw genuine anxiety in Reggie's eyes. It was clear his gruff facade covered a real fear of Bart's wrath. Over the day, Reggie tried to discreetly help Shawn without attracting attention. During his lunch break, Reggie opened up more. "I hate how Bart runs this place," he admitted. "Yelling at people, cutting our wages. I've thought about reporting him, but he's got all the big wigs wrapped around his finger, and if he ever found out I ratted, let's just say I need this job too much to risk it, but it kills me seeing you new folks thrown into this mess." Then the loudspeaker blared, "Shawn to the manager's office immediately." Steven's pulse quickened. Was his cover already blown? Did they somehow see through his flimsy disguise? Bracing himself, he made his way upstairs to finally meet the notorious Bart Thomas face to face. With a deep breath, he enters the manager's office, hoping his racing heart won't betray him. Will he talk his way out of disaster, or is this the beginning of the end for his undercover mission? "So you're the new dead weight, eh?" Bart growled, looking Steven up and down scornfully from behind his cluttered desk. Shawn shrank slightly under the manager's searing gaze. "Yes, sir. Shawn, sir." Ready to work hard, he offered meekly, trying not to stare at the handgun prominently displayed near Bart's hand. Its presence clearly seemed to be intentional intimidation. "We'll see about that," Bart sneered. "In my store, you pull your weight or you're gone. I've fired half a dozen idiots like you in the past month alone." He leaned back casually, the implied threat evident. Bart frowned, examining the schedule. "Look here. Now I've got you wasting Reggie's damn time showing your useless ass the ropes when we're behind on stocking." He jabbed his stubby finger at Steven's face. "I ever hear you're slowing him down, you're finished, got it?" Steven swallowed hard and nodded. Bart dismissed him with an icy glare. Back in the stockroom, Steven's head was spinning, optimism sinking. He had appointed a monster. Bart clearly knew nothing about leadership, only intimidation. That night, Stephen could barely sleep, anxiety twisting his guts. His mission was clear now. He had to catch Bart's abusive behavior on tape to have solid grounds for termination. The fate of the whole store rested on it. If Stephen failed, he didn't stand a chance. Will the twists and turns of Stephen's daring mission lead to a triumphant resolution, or is he on the brink of a game-changing setback? After another day closely shadowing Reggie and the other department heads, Stephen felt certain he had ample footage exposing the toxic work environment Bart cultivated through derision and threats. Now came the hard part, getting definitive proof of Bart's direct mistreatment of subordinates. But just as Stephen pondered his next move, the unthinkable happened. As closing time neared, Shawn was restocking shelves alone when he heard a crashing sound followed by a yelp of pain. He rushed over to find a petite young woman named Rachel sprawled on the floor, surrounded by scattered merchandise. "I'm so sorry," she cried, scrambling to pick up the items. "I don't know what happened. I must have slipped." Before Shawn could react, the staff room door flew open. Bart stormed out, face purple with rage. "You useless, clumsy idiot," he bellowed at Rachel. "Do you have any idea how much damage you've caused?" Bart roughly grabbed Rachel's arm, twisting it as she whimpered in pain. He dragged her into the staff room, slamming the door behind them. Shawn felt his stomach drop. He had to do something. Creeping to the door, he could hear Bart screaming expletives at Rachel. The sound of a stinging slap made Shawn flinch. Pressing his ear to the door, he made out Bart's threatening growl. "One more FCK up like that and you're out on your A's, you hear me? Now clean up your worthless mess before I really lose my temper." The door suddenly swung open and Shawn leapt back. Bart barged past him without a glance. Shawn rushed to Rachel's side as she emerged sobbing, cradling a red, swollen cheek. Stephen's hands shook with anger watching the footage later. He had seen all he needed to. Bart would be removed first thing in the morning. As Rachel tendered at her swollen cheek, she met Shawn's concerned eyes. "I'm so embarrassed you had to see that," she whispered. Shawn helped her gather the fallen items. "None of this is your fault," he assured her. "Has Bart hurt you like this before?" Rachel nodded, tears glistening. "Too many times to count. He flies off the handle over every little accident. Last time he thought I was working too slow. He dumped a whole cart of items on me to restock alone after my shift." She glanced around fearfully before adding under her breath, "And now with inventory week coming up, he says everyone has to stay late each night without pay. If I refuse or mess up again..." Rachel's voice broke as fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Shawn felt sick imagining her despair. Bart had convinced his victims the abuse was their own fault. Stephen swore to himself that Bart's reign of terror ended today. No employee should face assault and exploitation just for wanting to earn an honest living. He would make it his personal mission to help every survivor regain their dignity and joy. Stephen vowed to do everything in his power to undo the trauma Bart had inflicted on so many innocent people. Yet the burning question remains, will he succeed? Brace yourself, for what unfolds the next day is nothing short of shocking and captivating. The next day, right on cue, the overhead speaker crackled. "Shawn, get to my office, on the double." Taking a deep breath, Stephen headed upstairs. It was time to confront the beast in his den. "I'm being told you're dragging ass all over the damn store asking stupid questions," Bart accused as Stephen sat down. "I don't pay you peanuts to run your mouth. Need I remind you that you're replaceable?" Bart got in Stephen's face, his hot breath reeking of stale cigarettes. "In fact, know what I think? I think you're an undercover rat sent by corporate. That's it, isn't it?" He laughed menacingly. "Who sent you, huh? Talk." With Bart's hand inching toward the pistol, Stephen panicked. His mission was too important to fail, but he feared for his own safety. He sprinted for the stockroom door, Bart's enraged shouts at his back. Just as freedom was within reach, a meaty hand grabbed Stephen's collar and wrenched him backwards. He crashed to the floor at Bart's feet. Looking up, Stephen saw Bart looming over him, face twisted in fury, pistol aimed directly between his eyes. "You just signed your death warrant, you little rat," Bart growled. Stephen's heartbeat thundered as Bart's finger tightened on the trigger. Then his hand brushed against something, the inventory clipboard. Gripping it firmly, Stephen swung with all his might, slamming the metal clipboard into Bart's wrist. Bart howled in pain as the gun went flying. Stephen didn't hesitate. He leapt to his feet and crashed the clipboard down on Bart's head, then kneed him right in the groin for good measure. Bart collapsed in an agonized heap. Stephen scooped up the discarded pistol and stood over Bart's cringing form. "The authorities are already on their way," he said coldly. "Your reign of terror ends today." Bart could only whimper in reply. Justice was at hand. Fleeing downstairs, Stephen heard Bart bellowing in rage and chasing behind him. No turning back now. Bursting into the stockroom, Stephen called loudly to all the workers. "Your abuse stops today. I'm Stephen Delano, the CEO, and Bart Thomas is fired. Video proof is on its way to corporate." Stunned gasps filled the room. Bart halted, face purple with shock and fury. Stephen had done it. Exposed this tyrant once and for all. He straightened his posture calmly. "Bart Thomas, you are relieved of your duties at Delano retail stores effective immediately. Please exit the premises." Bart looked around frantically for support, but found only hard stares. The authoritarian house of cards had collapsed around him. With as much dignity as he could muster, Bart turned and trudged silently out. The crowd parted, happy to see him go. It was a new day for store number 1451. As the authorities dragged Bart away in handcuffs, Stephen let out a deep sigh of relief. His harrowing undercover mission had ended in triumph against all odds. But the real work was just beginning. Stephen made it his personal duty to help every employee Bart had victimized heal and thrive again. He gave Reggie a promotion, allowing him to provide a better life for his daughter. Rachel received an extended paid leave of absence and referral to a trauma counselor. Knowing the scars of abuse run deep, Stephen checked on each survivor regularly. He was patient and understanding if they struggled at work, assuring them Bart was gone for good. In time, the haunted look in their eyes faded. Laughter returned to the stockroom. To prevent such exploitation in the future, Stephen enacted company-wide reforms, strict anti-abuse policies, ethics training for all managers, and an anonymous hotline for worker complaints. A year later, store room 1451 was unrecognizable. The staff radiated renewed confidence and joy. Stephen finally felt peace knowing he had turned the store into a safe, supportive environment after so much suffering. Though the road had been trying, witnessing his employees flourish was the ultimate reward. Stephen vowed to challenge injustice wherever it festered, because sometimes you have to go undercover to see what's happening right before your eyes. And when you shine a light on evil, you discover just how powerful one voice can be.